Hi friends, welcome to another wrap up. This time around I've decided to combine August and September because quite frankly we did not do a whole lot of reading at the end of the summer. I don't know why. It's interesting. Before, when I was in school, I would really take advantage of my summers and try and read as much as possible, whereas now I'm just like, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm gonna do my reading in the fall and winter. So yeah, I don't know. It's like my reading habits have switched now that it's been a couple of years since I've been in school. So yeah, all right. So let's start with August. I'm gonna try not repeat myself because some of these books I have mentioned in depth because they have their own videos dedicated to them. So I will not repeat myself, I promise, or I'll try. So yeah, the first one being Pew, which I've discussed before, but that was a very peculiar little book that I really enjoyed actually. It takes place in a unnamed small American town where this individual shows up out of nowhere, and this community is really rocked by their presence, primarily because this figure that the town calls Pew does not disclose their gender, their ethnicity, any family background, nothing about their biography they voluntarily share with these people. And on the flip side, they're really like off-put, and they take a lot of issue with the fact that they are unable to categorize or define or label Pew. And as you can kind of imagine where I'm going, I think the book is trying to kind of question and critique and challenge our obsession with trying to constantly try and fit people into a specific box or a narrative, or make us unable to think beyond the binaries and look at the liminal spaces within and that kind of gray middle ground, which I found super interesting because Pew is constantly resisting these labels and challenging their assumptions and making them uncomfortable. And it was just, yeah, an exploration on our obsession with binaries and caging people in, and having a figure that contrasts that, and how that kind of plays out in this very religious, small, conservative American town. And there's also, speaking of the religious like undertone, the whole book takes place in a week, and at the very end of the week, aka at the very end of the book, we are privy to experience this very interesting and unique festival that happens in this town. So there's also a bit of tension running through the book because you're unaware, or the characteristics of this festival are not disclosed to you until you're already there and you're already about to finish the book. So yeah, I highly recommend it if you are feeling like a unique reading experience is how I'm gonna put it. The next book I read, I actually have it here, and it is Sharks in the Time of Saviors by Kawai Strong Washburn. And this is a Hawaiian author, and I believe this is their debut novel. And I love this book. I love it when the stars align and you get very lucky, because there's a book that falls on your lap that, oh, speaking of falling on my lap. Yes, I have a cat now. I know. It's wild for me too. I can't even believe it. Are you gonna make an appearance, baby? Huh? Look at him. You're so cute, baby. You're so cute. Aww. Aww. This is my baby. The cutest cat with the cutest ears I've ever seen. You're adorable. Anyways, where were we? Don't let this distract you, although he's doing a darn good job, aren't you? Okay, where was I? yes, when the stars align and you find a book that perfectly fits your mood and what you're after in a story, this kind of was it for me. I wanted a book that was really strongly situated in a place and that was dealing with like a family drama or something to do with familial ties, sibling relationships, and I got everything I wanted and more out of this book. It was perfect. So we follow a family who's Hawaiian, and basically the trajectory of these two people falling in love, starting a family, and we follow this family throughout the entire book. But a strong force in this book is Hawaii, and with that, the rich Hawaiian history and mythology of the island that the book really beautifully explores through an incident that happens when one of the kids is quite young. They go on this boat, and one of the kids falls overboard and is actually rescued by sharks. So that is the catalyst, I guess, or the jumping off point that the author uses to start talking about Hawaiian mythology and the deep roots and connections that this character in particular, but the family in general, has to Hawaii. That event also informs the relationships that the siblings have to one another and their parents, as well impacts the way that their life, the path that their life goes on. It also deals with a family struggling and trying to survive with very little means, as well being uprooted from a place that you are so connected to and bound to, because the children actually go to the mainland in several parts of the States for college and other reasons that take them there, and their path to coming back home, or what home might mean to them. And it was just beautiful. I mean, you really get into the world of these characters and empathize, and I think, beautiful book, such a strong voice, and I loved the way it was written. Each chapter is from the perspective of one of the siblings or the mother. We hear glimpses of the dad here and there, but it's mostly the siblings that carry the story and their varying perspectives on events that they all collectively shared as a family. So I highly recommend it. Beautiful read, and I can't wait to see what else this author writes. The next book that I read was translated text by Yuri Herrera, Kingdom Cons, that was actually recommended to me by one of you lovely viewers, and that one was also really good. I enjoyed it very much. It's quite a thin novella, but the way that Yuri Herrera speaks about what he wants to say in this book is through a familiar trope or archetype, because he uses a castle and a king and his royal court as a means to talk about a drug cartel and the primary drug lord, as well as his disciples, for lack of a better word. And the protagonist of the story is actually a musician that is entering the royal court as its newest member, and he is, did I say he's a poet? Yes, he's a poet, and he specializes in delivering corridos, which is a Mexican musical arrangement, I guess you could say. Corridos have been used in the past, from my understanding, as a means to talk about specific figures or notable events in Mexican history, or as a tool to mobilize or for social justice movements and the like. So yes, this figure is he sings corridos, praising the king and anything else he sees, and it's basically his observations when it comes to the inner workings and this different figures that encompass the king's royal court. It's other things happen in the story, but it's such a small book and very fast paced, and I don't want to spoil really, but I just want to give you just enough so you know what you're getting yourself into, but not enough where I just spoiled it for you. But yeah, it was an interesting read, and I really like the fable or the tool that Herrera uses to discuss what it's like being in a cartel, or, you know, trying to navigate that foreign world to many of us through this kind of like folklorish tale, fable kind of thing. So yeah, I enjoyed it very much, and thank you for that recommendation. As for September, again, I feel like we have discussed most of the books that I've read this month, but the first two being Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend, as well as Carlos Ruiz Safon's The Shadow of the Wind, both of which are translated works of fiction, one from Italian and the other one from Spanish. And My Brilliant Friend, we follow for the entirety of the quartet of the 4 novels, the budding friendship and evolution of their friendship, actually, of Elena and Lila. And they're 2 young girls living in a neighborhood in Naples, faced with poverty, lot of patriarchal, misogynistic cultural landscape that informs their daily lives and the ways that they engineer to potentially escape this reality or make space for themselves. And it's a very nuanced look on friendship, family, and what it's like to try and advance yourself in a world where it's hard to do so, is what I got from the first of the 4 books. So I'm excited to read more. And Shadow of the Wind is very different. That's more of a like mystery, like who did it? We must solve this gothic tale. I would say it's like a gothic, not horror, but like mystery. It's set in Barcelona in post-Civil War, and just, again, similar to Sharks in the Time of Saviors, it's very space-driven. The gothic vibe of Barcelona plays a integral role in the story, and it just enriches the story quite a bit. So if you're curious about either one of those, I will leave my video reading vlog downstairs so you can see for yourself if any of these interest you. Okay, so the next book that I read was Priestdaddy by Patricia Lockwood. This is her autobiography, and it was phenomenal. I wish I could erase my mind and read this again, because it was such a joy to read. Oh, this woman is big brain energy. Like, wow. It's so funny. The way that she just looks at life and the hilarious characters in her life through such hilarious lens. I don't know how this woman manages to come up with such quippy, funny remarks and observations. It's just super admirable. I wish I had this capacity. Sadly, I do not. But yeah, so we meet her when she is on the cusp of getting noticed for her poetry and gaining rightful praises and popularity from her poetry. And however, a little bit prior to that, her and her partner are living in Savannah, Georgia, but due to their like financial situation, they decide to move in with Patricia's family, her mom and dad, her dad being a Catholic priest. That in itself was super appealing to me, like I said in my other video. But it only just gets better from there, honestly. It was just such a joy to read, and I think she talks about her life so beautifully, because not only is it, like I've said 20 million times at this point, hilarious, but she also manages to talk about very real and hard things to open up about. One of them being the abuses of the Catholic Church. It really examines the role of the church and her place in that, and her kind of shift in her own perception of the world, and how that contrasts her upbringing and the world that her mom and dad still encompass, juxtaposed with the life and beliefs and ideologies that she's now adopted and has for herself that differ greatly from her pro-life Republican dad and mother. Yeah, I just absolutely loved the way that she managed to talk about her family with so much love and care, but also critically examine their beliefs and the choices that they've made in their lives, and how that very evidently contrasts her own beliefs and ideologies and the person she's grown up to be. That's quite different than the environment and bubble that she was in for the early stages of her life. So, stunning read. If there's one book that I could not recommend enough out of all the great books that I'm talking about, it's this one. I'm still thinking about it. I cannot wait to reread this, to be honest, which is not something I've ever said, I don't think, but I just want to be in this world again and just be wrapped up in her witty, hilarious, incredibly smart brain at all times. So yes, loved this one. Then I did my Tinies reading vlog, which you've probably seen at this point, and that is NDN Coping Mechanisms by Billy Ray Belcourt. And this is my very first poetry collection, which was so beautiful. I don't know how to critically examine poetry, and maybe you shouldn't. So this is not the channel to go if you want an in-depth analysis on any poetry collection I read moving forward. All I can tell you is that it spoke to my heart. I felt it in my soul, and I'm so happy to have read another one of Billy Ray Belcourt's just beautiful work. Everything that comes out of his pen or his computer keyboard is just sublime. And then I read By Night in Chile, which I've also discussed, as well as Bluets. I don't know where that is, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that. And I don't want to talk about it fully because it's the end of the month and I have not actually finished, but I am halfway through Satellite Love by Genki Ferguson, and that book is beautiful. Oh, it is like the nostalgic book of my dreams, to be honest. Again, it's just one of those books that I read in the perfect time. I was just feeling those nostalgic sad girl vibes, and that book just really came through for me. Doing a reading vlog at the moment, just documenting my thoughts on that book, but I did want to mention that that's kind of what I'm wrapping my month up with, and it could not have been a better pick. So yeah, that is all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this wrap up. I hope you pick up any one of these books, and I hope you love my little baby here, my little baby companion. That was me throughout the whole video. Say goodbye. ZZ says bye.